Here's exactly why real estate teams don't work out for the most part, and here's what to do differently. In this video, I'm going to teach you exactly how to reconstruct a real estate team from scratch in the most profitable fashion. What's up, everybody? My name is Henry Eisenstein, and if you don't know who I am, I've been a part of over $400 million worth of real estate transactions, and I'm only 28 years old. So the very first thing I want to talk about, let's set the precedence, right? A foundational part of this video is, who is this video for? This video is specifically for individuals who are either thinking about starting a real estate team or who have an existing real estate team and it's not running the way they want to. The very first thing now that we're going to talk about is what mistakes most real estate teams make that makes them not work out in the first place. The biggest mistake teams make is they build way too big too quickly. So this is the type of individual who basically went from being a solo agent to a team of like 7 realtors within a matter of like 9 months. There's not a lot of foundation. They just started hiring a bunch of people willy-nilly because they, maybe they spoke 1 or 2 times at an office meeting and they started just to attract all the right, or thought they were right, people, and now that team is kind of slowly falling apart. The reason why I bring this up, and by the way, all these mistakes are things that I personally have done and then felt the effects of them. So I'm not speaking of like, these are hypotheticals. I'm saying I've either done these myself and or my friends have done them and then told me not to do them. So I'm living this from experience. Mistake number 2 is that they have too much staff or too much overhead in their business. But this is too many employees who are working for the team for not enough production. By the way, again, this is a mistake that I've made where I've had too much full-time employees, too many salaried employees when I didn't even need it. It's insane, because I can't remember how many were on payroll all at the same time, but it was ridiculous how many people I had on payroll at one point in time. And guess what? I mean, I was balling out of control. I was 24, 25 years old, think I was top of the world. Now guess what? I was grossing a lot of money, but net take home some months weren't the best because I had a very high overhead. For a large majority of teams, I mean, the biggest lesson that I learned through COVID, because I had to lay them all off, was that I wish, because right now I have a fraction of the amount of people on payroll, and most people that I have that work for me are paid per transaction. I don't need to have heavy payroll anymore. I've learned my lesson. If you're looking to have a very profitable sales team, make sure you stay to the very end of this video because you're going to learn every single tactic that we are using in the teams that not only that I have personally, but the teams that I'm coaching right now so they can have the best results. And by the way, if you're getting a lot out of this video and you want to take your life and business to the next level, make sure you schedule a free consultation in the description down below. The next biggest mistake that most people make is that the team leader commonly stops doing what works. They stop prospecting and they slowly become a sales manager. It's like the craziest thing ever, and I've seen it so many times, right? By the way, I've done the same thing. It's happened to me a few years ago where I started focusing more on developing the salespeople on my team and not working on my own production, and then guess what? My production in 1 month all of a sudden started to slide. I was like, wait a second, I gotta get back on the phones. The team leader is supposed to be the biggest producer. This is all about building up to your first 7 figures in business. This is not talking about building a multi 7-figure business, because there is no way that you can build a $10 million a year business the way that everyone sees normal real estate, because what I'm doing is very, very different than most people. And I'll show you, if you really want to build a $10 million a year business as an agent and not have a big team, we could talk about that too, because that's what I'm doing. If you want to have a lot of people on your team, have like huge sales people, 40 salespeople, 80, 100 salespeople, and you want to be able to do zero work all day long, you have all 100 of these salespeople working for you 24/7, 365, guess what? Then you need to be paying attention to this video, because there's a lot of mistakes that happen along the journey so that you can get to that point. Because if you make any of these mistakes early on in your career, you'll never get to that big sales team that you're looking for. And one of the last mistakes that I see very commonly when it comes to real estate sales teams is that people forget that salespeople are a revolving door type of business. If you're looking to build a sales team, it is constantly about recruiting. If you're just hiring salespeople, it is a constant revolving door. So if you're not avidly working on replacing that next person or adding to your team, you're eventually going to be back at 0. This is super freaking common. You're going to add somebody. And guess what? Now that you've brought on somebody, you now need to provide value to that individual every single day. And guess what? You bring on maybe another person, you got to provide value to that person. You bring on another person, you got to provide value to that person. And as your team is expanding, this is more and more people that you have to provide a massive amount of value for. Now you're also dealing with their personal situations and sometimes issues, which sometimes they end up leaving your team. Maybe they're not making enough money. Maybe the culture isn't right. Maybe they feel like they're not getting the right training. And guess what? Most of the time, they're going to blame you for it, even if it's not your own fault. Welcome to being a team leader, guys. When these salespeople are going through the motions of real estate, because again, if you're looking to build your own sales team, you've obviously understand how it's been. Like this industry will put you through the ringer sometimes. And now you're dealing with that individual on your team who's possibly dealing with all those, those crazy emotions of what it's like to be in the industry for your first few years. Now that you're dealing with it, you're going to see it firsthand. And I'm telling you, sometimes it happens. This happens to everyone. Now all of a sudden, 1 or 2, 3 people leave. I mean, right before COVID, I had a lot of people leave me because one bad person was on the team, one cancerous type of individual when it came to culture, got into everybody and started talking to everybody. Oh, you know what she's doing? You know what he's doing? You know what she's doing? And all of a sudden, the whole team left. Let's dive into now. I want to talk about exactly what you need to do differently, how to differentiate yourself as a sales team so you can build the most profitable real estate team out there. The big thing I want to explain to you guys is that what I'm going to talk to you about is how to build the most profitable sales team. I know people who run a team and they have 12 salespeople and a few employees and they do $1 million a year. By the way, that was me a few years ago. Had a bunch of salespeople, had a big team, $1 million a year plus in commissions, right? A little over $1 million a year, and I see a lot of people doing this today. There's also Team B. There's teams, which I want you to be like Team B, $1 million a year in commissions. 2 people on the team. You know how much money Team B is netting at the end of the day versus Team A? A massive difference in profit. Which one, Team A or Team B, takes more vacation time? Because by the way, if you're netting way more money, and as an example in Team B, because I hope you're saying Team B, that person, as much as they might not have a lot more staff, they have a lot more money in their bank. While Team A might be taking a lot of vacation time, they sure as heck can't afford it. And I'm telling you, I've been both, and I'm telling you, being Team B is way more important. And the cool part is that you can be like Team B, right? That type of team player, where you can build a team around a very profitable model, which will allow you to continuously work less and less hours, even though you don't have dozens of people on your team. I promise you, okay, from experience. The very first thing I want to talk to you about differentiation is that bigger isn't always better. Typically, what I have found, the most profitable teams are smaller, and very not profitable teams are larger. If you have more than 5 people on your team, and you're not making $1 million a year or more, you are doing it wrong. You do not need a lot of people on your team to make $1 million a year. You need to make some adjustments before you start hiring people. I've seen people who have 10 people on their team. 10! They have 10 people! They're not even making $1 million a year. You understand what each person is probably making if you're only grossing $800,000 a year? That's not net. So if they're grossing $800,000 a year, think about what everyone's making. This is why I'm telling you, take it slow when it comes to building out the team. Bigger is not better, okay? Smaller and effective is the most important. Point number 2, very important. The team leader needs to be the biggest producer until you hit that point. Once you start netting $1 million a year and you're the big time producer, then you could start plugging people in to slowly replace your production, but not lower your income. Because commonly, what happens is that the team leader slides a little bit too far into the sales manager role, and they start slowly not doing as much prospecting. They slowly stop doing as much, what got them there in the first place, which is why I'm trying to tell you, a team leader should be and forever be, until they make $1 million net income a year, the main producer. Now let's talk about the specific hires and in what order. What I want to be very clear with you about is when it comes to paying employees. The first thing I would do if you want to start a team is that you are going to hire a transaction coordinator, okay, / listing coordinator. It can be one person, okay? This is not a crazy, difficult role. You're going to pay them per transaction, okay? They get paid when the deal closes. They only get paid when you get paid. It's very hard to go broke when they can only make money when you make money. I pay my transaction teams. I started out paying with someone around $400, then it went up to about $600. Now they get paid about $800 to $1,000, depending on how much work they're doing for me, but they do a lot of work for me. Your business should have at least doubled or tripled with one hire. Yes, you heard me correctly. If your business did not double or triple, somewhere in that realm, based off of one hire, you hired the wrong person, or they're not doing enough for you. My income went from $137,000 to over $600,000 in 12 months because of one hire. That second person you're going to hire is going to be, that person can be a administrative assistant and support to your transaction coordinator / executive assistant. Because the goal here is between these two people, the only thing that you are now doing is prospecting, anything to do with lead generation as a whole, conducting appointments, and managing the money. You're not dealing with any paperwork, 0 emails, 0 coordination of inspections, 0 coordination of getting certificate of occupancies with townships, 0 anything to do with the transaction, 0, 0, 0 that has to do with anything to do with sales. The third hire is a showing agent. This individual is just handling your buyers. You have a listing coordinator / transaction coordinator, an administrative assistant / executive assistant. So now all that paperwork stuff and transactional stuff is off your plate. And lastly, now you're going to take all the buyers off your plate where you have a showing assistant / buyer's agent who's going to handle a large majority of all those clients for you. So all you're doing is lead generation for sellers, going on listing appointments, managing the team and any red flags, and managing and counting the money. That's it. And guess what? You're making $1 million a year. Last but not least, let's make sure that we take this baby home. Now you're going to want to add salespeople, okay? Now you're starting to have some people that are going to come onto your team. It's all about culture, baby. If you really want to know how to keep your salespeople not only culturally happy, but also happy with making some dough, making a lot of money, you need to have a few things set up. Number 1, systems. If you don't have systems set up, it is going to be very hard to scale a big team and make a lot of money because nothing's going to be systematic. You need to have systems and process for everything. And by the way, if you're really wondering how to build and scale a massive sales team and keep your people making a lot of money, this is a perfect time to schedule a free consultation in the description down below because myself and my team can teach you exactly how to do it. We're doing this with dozens and dozens of sales teams around the country and love to help you out as well. Number 2, manage your metrics. This is a big thing that we talk about. Metrics and data tells the story. And if you don't know how to keep track of all of your metrics and log all your data, how many calls, how many conversations, how many contacts are you making, how many leads have you generated, how many appointments have you set, how many appointments have you conducted. If you're not tracking all of this stuff, guys, guess what? You're going to be constantly wondering where the bottleneck is in your business. Number next is to be high levels of accountability and leadership practice throughout your team. Every person on your team should have some level of leadership responsibilities and or practice throughout the month, throughout the year, right? Because you want to see who elevates and rises to the occasion and then you want to see who dwindles and falls down below because they're not willing to pick up the slack. It is a great opportunity. This is why we do leadership practice with all the sales teams and we see magical results. Last thing but not least is attitude and mindset. You're going to want to teach your salespeople, your team, you're going to be constantly wanting to build the culture through a powerful mindset. This is something that we talk about all the time in the coaching program because it's not just about what you do, it's about who you become in the process. Exactly what we teach to the salespeople on your team and people just like yourself so we can teach you exactly how to elevate the value levels you provide. Very, very important and not enough realtors see this. Not enough salespeople and business owners see this type of stuff. So if you want to be a team leader with a very profitable, successful business where you have the time freedom majority, okay? Having the freedom to make decisions when it comes to what you do on a daily basis. You can fly wherever you want to, have the vacations, the life that you desire. It takes doing things differently than the majority of individuals. Rewatch this video over and over again and take massive levels of action on everything we spoke about, and I assure you, you will see results. And by the way, last but not least, if you have yet to schedule your call with me and my team, make sure you schedule one in the description down below. Other than that, guys, I love you so much, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.